In the dark days predicted by Padre Pio, he describes a scenario of total darkness where the only light will be that of faith. Imagine deserted streets, closed windows, and a heavy silence. He didn't just warn about this event but gave clear instructions, like someone anticipating an inevitable event without losing hope. When speaking to his followers, he told them that only blessed candles would illuminate the hearts of those who trusted. As a witness to faith, he believed that both body and soul must be prepared. This isn't a threat but a call to reflect on our own spirituality and ask ourselves if we are ready to face the darkness that life may bring. Padre Pio's words carry an aura of mystery and a subtle challenge. As a true wise guide, he not only outlined a dark vision but also called for a rediscovery of faith. Prayers, worship, and praise are much more than ordinary practices. They are sources of light in the darkness. He advised everyone to intensify their prayer life and keep the Bible close by as a solid anchor for uncertain times. So, what are we doing to strengthen our spirituality? In this case, it is highly recommended to immerse ourselves in Bible study and seek peace through worship and sermons so that our faith not only survives but grows. The mystery of Padre Pio's prophecy of dark days isn't just a frightening forecast, it's a deep lesson on perseverance and surrender. Those who take refuge in spirituality, as Padre Pio advised, will be able to see the darkness as a metaphor for life. His recommendation was clear: stay in prayer, hold the Bible, and focus on praise, because in those times, every word of Jesus Christ becomes a shield. He believed that those who would pass through this period without fear, seeing it as a test and an opportunity to reaffirm their bond with religion, would understand the importance of following Padre Pio's journey, a story that continues to inspire so many today. From his childhood, Padre Pio seemed destined for an extraordinary journey. Born into a simple, devout family, he quickly showed signs of uncommon faith, which led him to spend hours in prayer. Despite health challenges, he found the strength to follow his vocation and joined the Capuchin order. There, amidst religious studies and austere routines, he deepened his connection with Jesus Christ, discovering that the path of faith was also one of sacrifice. Thus, Padre Pio was formed between physical pain and spiritual experiences that would mark his entire life. Gradually, Padre Pio began to attract people from all walks of life, curious to meet the brother who bore the stigmata of Christ. It was such a powerful episode that it attracted both admiration and curiosity from religious figures and scholars alike. To this day, many still wonder how he lived with such fame, always surrounded by sermons and crowded masses. He saw the stigmata as an opportunity to draw even closer to the life of Jesus, living an authentic spirituality centered on prayer and serving others. This testimony of faith continues to inspire young Christians to seek a more authentic relationship with their faith, dedicating themselves to charity and spiritual assistance. Padre Pio's life created a path that crossed borders and encouraged many to seek faith in the gospel with renewed hope. He understood that service to others was the closest path to worshiping God. His actions remind us that Christianity is also a call to live for others, practicing what we preach. By his example, he showed that true devotion is the one that inspires, touches the heart, and moves people to live with compassion. As we move forward, we turn to the topic of the spiritual gifts that set Padre Pio even further apart. Padre Pio is still remembered today for his extraordinary spiritual gifts, something rare. Imagine facing someone who, in addition to sharing words of wisdom, could, according to testimonies, predict the future and heal people. People seeking guidance and spiritual answers traveled from far and wide, drawn by his ability to read the thoughts and feelings of those who confessed. To many, he was more than just a priest. He was a guide, someone capable of offering not only advice but a new vision of faith and the power of Christianity in their lives. Yet these gifts were not a source of pride for Padre Pio. On the contrary, he saw them as a burden, a duty requiring even more devotion. With all this responsibility, he sought to strengthen his religious practices, diving deeper into prayer and Bible study to understand and fortify his mission. For him, the gifts he possessed were divine proof, a call to guide and inspire believers. Even with all his fame, Padre Pio remained faithful to the gospel and to Jesus Christ, always remembering that true worship lies in humility before the gift that God bestows. Padre Pio's spiritual gifts had a lasting impact, and to this day, devout people reflect on the depth of his connection with the divine. The ability to read minds, perform healing miracles. This invites us to think about what faith can truly accomplish. Inspired by his example, young Christians and devotees of all ages seek to deepen their spirituality, aiming to develop lives of prayer and devotion. Amidst so many questions about the future and what lies ahead, Padre Pio offered practical advice, warning of the importance of a life of faith to face the times ahead. Padre Pio addressed the challenges of the end times with seriousness and urgency. He advised believers to live in constant prayer, leading lives of moderation and repentance. According to him, the dark times would require a firm faith and unwavering devotion that would provide spiritual security. He also emphasized the importance of concrete practices, such as daily prayer, to strengthen the spirit and prepare for any adversity that might arise. For those seeking an authentic Christian life, these guidelines were key to facing the uncertain future. Padre Pio recommended that everyone maintain an intense devotional life and prepare for tough times by taking specific actions, like closing windows and staying indoors during the days of darkness. To him, following these instructions was essential, especially at a time when believers would feel the need for a deep connection with Jesus Christ. He also insisted on using blessed candles, a symbol of divine protection amidst fear. These practical details provided a sense of peace and security, showing that faith would be the best defense against invisible dangers. These instructions still resonate, especially among young Christians seeking spiritual direction in the face of modern tribulations. Padre Pio saw in the Gospel the essence of a life guided by faith and constant prayer. Through his sermons and testimonies, he inspired people to lead lives of worship that not only provided comfort but also served as a true shield against the world's evils. His message, beyond prompting reflection, invites each person to live their spirituality with the greatest zeal. The detailed instructions for the 3 days of darkness were something Padre Pio took great care in describing. This prophecy continues to stir fear and reflection among the faithful. His instructions were clear: close all windows and doors, avoid any external contact, and remain in prayer. He emphasized the importance of using blessed candles to light the darkness, believing that only the light of divine faith would protect those who took refuge in spirituality. Following these details was a way to keep the flame of trust in God alive, even in the face of the unknown. He also highlighted the importance of reciting the rosary incessantly and, surprisingly, even mentioned special care for animals, who should also be protected. This humanizing detail reinforced the idea that during these days, every being should be under the divine presence's protection. For him, the smallest negligence could expose people to spiritual dangers. Padre Pio suggested that believers stay united in spirit and prayer, understanding that the strength of community in Christ would be the foundation to withstand the darkness. Even within this rigorous scenario, Padre Pio maintained a vision of hope, believing that believers could overcome this period of tribulation if they stayed firm in their devotional practice. Prayer, to him, would not just be a request for protection but an act of faith that would reaffirm God's presence in every home and in every heart. These instructions resonate as a call to spiritual discipline, opening a space to reflect on the context in which his warnings appeared and how the historical period may have shaped this vision. Padre Pio lived during a time marked by wars, crises, and uncertainties, which undoubtedly influenced his prophetic visions and religious concerns. Post-war Europe was a fertile ground for fear and the search for meaning, with many believers finding in spirituality an anchor to face dark times. For Padre Pio, the end times sounded like a call to reflect on the direction humanity was taking. His words, amidst chaos, served as a reminder for people to return to biblical values and the protection that religion offered. His apocalyptic visions emerged during a time of great social and political upheaval, touching on the fear of imminent destruction but also offering a chance for redemption to those who sought refuge in faith. Padre Pio believed that the adversities of his time were a test of spirituality, a way to awaken faith and prayer. These prophecies were not merely predictions of tragedy, but a call for every Christian to embrace a devotional life rooted in Christianity at a time when faith was being tested. His warnings almost sounded like a summons for spiritual resistance. The impact of these events on the imagination of the faithful was profound, especially during a time when the fear of another devastating war loomed. Padre Pio's call for the faithful to remain in prayer resonated as a reminder that divine protection was within reach for those who sincerely sought it. This social and historical context helps explain why these words became a source of guidance and consolation. From there, it is interesting to observe the various interpretations and controversies that have emerged around this prophecy over the years. The prophecy of the 3 days of darkness has sparked several interpretations, with different religious leaders and believers debating its true meaning. For some, the darkness represents a spiritual tribulation, a phase of purification that each person must go through before the true light. Others believe in a more literal interpretation, where the world would experience an event of total physical darkness. Each version reflects different ways of living and understanding faith, and this plurality of visions keeps the theme both relevant and intriguing. Controversies also arise around the authenticity of the prophecy. Some question whether these predictions were truly made by Padre Pio or if they were attributed to him because of his mystic fame. Critics argue that the message may have been distorted over time to fit narratives of fear and control. However, the fact that so many people continue to believe in the power of these words shows how deeply Padre Pio's legacy has impacted Christian spirituality, making him a timeless figure who transcends time and doubt. These divergences reveal much about the very nature of faith and religion, where personal interpretation plays a central role. Padre Pio's prophecy invites believers to examine their relationship with Christianity and reflect on the role of prayer and devotion in times of uncertainty. In one way or another, this prophecy remains a reference point, encouraging reflection on what it means to trust in something greater than oneself. It inevitably leads to the question of whether it still holds relevance in the modern world, facing an increasingly complex world with environmental, political, and social crises. Padre Pio's prophecy of the 3 days of darkness becomes more and more relevant as current concerns about the future of the earth, natural disasters, and global tensions draw many to see parallels with the warnings of those like Padre Pio who foresaw the end of times. It seems that the uncertainties of today blend with the fears for the future, and in a world where people are desperately seeking answers amid confusion, the prophecy offers a unique perspective. In times of darkness, faith is the only light capable of protecting us. Padre Pio, with his instructions for prayer, worship, and communion with God, remains an example of how spirituality can be a safe refuge for those who feel that the world is on the brink of collapse. His unwavering message of faith resonates strongly, particularly among young Christians who may feel lost or disoriented in an ever-changing world. The relevance of this prophecy goes beyond the fear of the apocalypse. It also invites us to reflect on our spiritual lives. The end times, for many, might be a metaphor for the end of an era where faith has been neglected, a call to urgently return to prayer, scripture study, and the worship of God. By remembering Padre Pio's warnings, we can reevaluate our own spiritual commitment and make faith a light to guide us through the darkness that the future may hold. The prophecy of the 3 days of darkness is not an isolated message. Throughout history, other saints and Christian mystics have also reported similar visions and revelations regarding the end times, the purification of humanity, and the advent of great tribulations. These testimonies, like those of Saint Faustina Kowalska and Saint John Bosco, present recurring themes of darkness, adversity, and the necessity of strong faith to face trials. Thus, Padre Pio's prophecy fits into a larger context of spiritual warning that transcends time and place, prompting believers to collectively reflect on what is needed to stay firm in faith. Among the most striking similarities are the emphasis on prayer and devotion as indispensable tools to withstand hardships. Padre Pio's message, like that of other saints, suggests that in the greatest darkness, whether literal or spiritual, constant prayer and the pursuit of purity of heart are essential for finding divine protection. The comparison between these prophecies helps us understand that mystics from different historical periods seem to have received similar messages, highlighting the universality of the call to faith and spiritual preparation. However, it is also important to reflect on the differences. Some mystics, like Saint Vincent Ferrier, predicted more specific apocalyptic events with more tangible details, while Padre Pio focused more on inner spirituality and personal preparation. Despite these differences, all these prophecies intertwine with the common goal of preparing believers to face a time of tribulation, showing that, no matter the era, the Christian faith, the love of Jesus Christ, and the practice of prayer will always be the greatest supports to navigate adversity. In times of uncertainty, prayer becomes a vital refuge for those seeking inner peace. Padre Pio always emphasized the power of prayer not only as communication with God, but also as a spiritual fortress protecting us from negative influences and fear. When the world seems on the brink of great change, constant prayer connects us to divine strength, allowing us to see beyond chaos and find serenity to face any challenge, whether physical or emotional. Prayer strengthens us, making us more resilient in the face of challenges that arise. Faith, in turn, is the fuel that sustains prayer. Without faith, the words spoken during prayer can become mere mechanical acts. As Padre Pio said, one must truly believe in what they pray for. The gospel of Jesus Christ teaches us that faith can move mountains, and in moments of great adversity, faith becomes the pillar upon which we can lean in a world so full of uncertainty. Faith stands as the anchor that keeps our hope alive, assuring us that even in the face of our greatest fears, God's hand will always be there to protect us. Prayer and faith, when united, form a powerful tool to overcome fear and anxiety. During the 3 days of darkness that Padre Pio so clearly warned about, believers are instructed to pray, remain calm, and trust in divine providence. This spiritual practice is not just preparation for times of crisis, but a way of life that allows us to cultivate peace and trust in God daily. True strength comes from unwavering faith, which, combined with devoted prayer, puts us in harmony with the sacred, offering protection and guidance in times of chaos. Padre Pio's legacy remains vibrant and relevant even decades after his death. He didn't just establish religious institutions and promote the practice of Christian faith. He became a symbol of deep and authentic spirituality for many Christians around the world. His testimonies of faith, miraculous healings, and a life fully dedicated to prayer and serving others continue to inspire both young Christians and adults seeking an example of unwavering devotion, even in the modern era with all its challenges and distractions. Padre Pio's teachings provide a solid foundation for those seeking to maintain their faith in a world often marked by uncertainty and materialism. His impact extends beyond his closest followers, reaching a global community that sees him as a bright beacon. Pilgrimages to San Giovanni Rotondo, his hometown, still attract thousands of pilgrims each year, eager to feel the saint's spiritual presence and learn from his life of prayer and service. His example of unshakable faith is passed on through the testimonies of those who knew him personally, as well as through the stories of miracles attributed to his intercession, showing that even after his death, his presence continues to strengthen the faith of those who seek him. Furthermore, Padre Pio's legacy is reflected in how he is remembered through his cultural and spiritual influence. He has become an icon of holiness for many, not only in the Catholic Church but also in various branches of Christianity. His teachings on constant prayer, unconditional devotion, and the importance of a life of service to others resonate in a modern age that sometimes forgets its fundamental values. His life and words continue to inspire, and by turning to his legacy, many are reminded that true spiritual strength comes from union with God through prayer and the practice of faith, making him an eternal example of living with purpose and devotion.